On our planet, there are more than 1,500 potentially active volcanoes, each with its own history and transformative power. But have you ever wondered what would happen if all these sleeping giants woke up at the same time? The idea of all the world's volcanoes erupting simultaneously may seem like something out of a science fiction movie. But let's explore this fascinating and terrifying scenario together. So, grab your ash raincoat and hard hat and come with us on this explosive journey to discover what if all the volcanoes erupted at the same time. History shows us that the relationship between humans and volcanoes is ancient. The city of Pompeii, for example, was buried in the ashes of Vesuvius in 79 AD, preserving a tragic moment in history. Volcanic eruptions have been documented in many cultures over the centuries. They are powerful events that have been interpreted in different ways, from divine punishments to natural phenomena to be studied. In the last century, we have had several significant volcanic eruptions. Each has contributed to our understanding of how these giants work and the impact they have on our planet. Today, we have a vast amount of knowledge about volcanoes, thanks to the efforts of scientists and researchers. They work tirelessly to understand these forces of nature and how we can live with them safely. Now, with this historical and scientific context in mind, let's explore what would happen if all of these points on the map erupted simultaneously. Get ready, because the scenery is really impressive. Worldwide, there are about 1,500 volcanoes considered active, meaning they have erupted within the last 10,000 years, and have the potential to erupt again. The frequency of volcanic eruptions has varied over time. Some periods in history have had a greater number of eruptions, while others have been calmer. Volcanoes such as Vesuvius in Italy, Krakatoa in Indonesia, and Eyjafjallajökull in Iceland are famous for their devastating eruptions that have had a major impact on human history and the environment. As technology advances, scientists can monitor volcanic activity and predict eruptions more accurately. This is crucial for the safety of people living near volcanoes and to minimize the impacts of possible eruptions. In addition to terrestrial volcanoes, there are also underwater volcanoes, which are less known but equally important. They play a key role in the formation of new islands and the release of minerals into the ocean. The formation of volcanoes is directly related to the movement of tectonic plates. When two plates meet, one can be pushed downward, melting and forming magma, which can eventually result in a volcanic eruption. When a volcano erupts, the power released is truly devastating. Lava, ash, and gases can destroy everything in their path, completely changing the landscape. Even today, volcanic eruptions remain a threat. They can destroy cities, force the evacuation of thousands of people, and even change the global climate. To minimize the impact of volcanic eruptions, scientists study risk areas and develop maps that help local authorities plan evacuations and other safety measures. Understanding what happens inside a volcano and how an eruption occurs is essential to protecting people and communities living near these sleeping giants. Volcanoes have the power to impact not only the areas around them, but also the global climate. When they erupt, they release huge amounts of ash and gases, such as sulfur dioxide, into the atmosphere. These particles can block sunlight, leading to a temporary cooling of the planet. This is what we call volcanic winter. A historical example of this was the eruption of Tambora in 1815, which resulted in a year without a summer, with drops in temperature across the world. Volcanic eruptions can also affect weather patterns, potentially contributing to extreme events such as hurricanes and droughts. The exact impact, however, depends on several factors, such as the magnitude of the eruption and the amount of gases released. To better understand these impacts, scientists use a variety of instruments and techniques to study volcanic eruptions and their effects on climate. These include satellites, which can monitor ash and gas clouds, and computer models, which help predict how these particles spread through the atmosphere. Understanding how volcanoes affect climate is crucial to preparing the world for the future. In a scenario where all volcanoes erupt at the same time, the impact on climate would be unprecedented, with possible catastrophic consequences for the planet and life as we know it. One of the most iconic images of a volcanic eruption is when lava meets the ocean. This encounter generates huge plumes of vapor and ash clouds, which can have a significant impact on marine life. Additionally, volcanic eruptions can increase the acidity levels of seawater, harming many life forms such as corals and mollusks that rely on alkaline waters to build their shells and skeletons. The most direct impact, of course, is the death of marine animals due to water contamination with lava, ash, and toxic gases. This mortality could affect the entire marine food chain, with effects that extend to humans, who depend on the ocean for food and other resources. Scientists around the world are studying these impacts to better understand how to protect marine life from future volcanic eruptions. They collect samples of water and marine animals for analysis, which can lead to new discoveries and solutions to mitigate the negative effects of eruptions. Preserving marine life is essential to maintain the balance of our planet. The ocean is a vital part of the Earth's ecosystem, and protecting it means protecting ourselves and future generations. The beauty and abundance of the oceans have always attracted humanity. Fishing, tourism, and other ocean-related economic activities are fundamental to many communities around the world. But these areas are also vulnerable. Volcanic eruptions can cause tsunamis, increase seismic activity, leading to earthquakes, and tsunamis that can devastate coastal cities, causing irreparable damage and loss of life. Imagine for a moment all of Earth's active volcanoes erupting at the same time. A catastrophic scenario that would change our planet as we know it. The lava would destroy everything in its path, and the ash would block the sun for weeks or even months. This massive eruption would force the evacuation of millions of people, causing an unprecedented humanitarian crisis. The areas closest to volcanoes would be most affected, but the impacts would extend across the world. The massive release of ash into the atmosphere would cause a volcanic winter. The sun would be blocked out, leading to a drastic drop in temperatures across the world. Crops would fail and food shortages would become a global problem. In the face of such a devastating scenario, science is our best hope. Scientists around the world are constantly studying volcanoes, seeking to better understand how they work and developing technologies to mitigate the impacts of their eruptions. In a scenario where all volcanoes erupt simultaneously, how could humanity survive? People would resort to underground shelters and bunkers, and survival kits would be essential. But would that be enough? Agriculture would have to adapt to new climatic conditions. Solutions such as indoor farming and growing food in laboratories would become necessary to ensure that the world's population does not starve. With the sun blocked, water would become a scarce resource and energy production would be severely affected.